Hello everyone, it is Diana Marchand from Raw Foods Made Simple. And today we are actually making something that's not raw, it is baked. For those of you who do not have dehydrators. So this is a recipe for some granola bars. It's very simple. You can put basically whatever nuts, seeds, and anything you want in it. I have compiled a combination here of things. I have a cup and a half of almonds and a half a cup of hazelnuts. Now they're in this bowl right now because I put them in my food processor because they're so big and hard, these nuts. I put them in my food processor and pulsed them until they're broken down a little more. How much you pulse them or break them down is totally up to you because that means how big they're gonna be in the granola bars, right? Remember when they bake, they're gonna get very hard and crunchy. I also have a cup of shredded coconut, non-sweetened. I have, I combined whole oats with quinoa flakes, half and half, so half a cup of each. You can use these or choose not to, or use any flake combination you want. I also have a half a cup each pumpkin seeds and sunflower seeds. Then I have a quarter cup of flax seeds, a quarter cup of sesame seeds in this bowl mixed together. And then I have some raisins, about 3/4 cups of raisins. We'll see if we use them all. If you don't want to use raisins, don't use them. Use something else, other dried fruit if you want, or leave them out completely. I like to use a few raisins in these. And what we're going to make everything bind together with is rice syrup. This is brown rice syrup. You can buy at grocery stores, most grocery stores, at least you can here around Vancouver and Vancouver Island. So it's brown rice syrup. And then I have my glass of water. You'll see where we need that, and a cookie sheet. I didn't have a lot of parchment paper, so I have some of parchment paper on the cookie sheet, and I oiled a bit of it. So we're gonna see how that turns out today. So what you wanna do, very simple. I've got my nuts in here. Just gonna basically add all the ingredients. So remember, this is like a buffet. Start with little bits, because when you add cups of each or a whole bunch of each, you're going to end up with a huge batch. This batch I'm making is big because I'm making it for a couple people and myself, so you might want to start with less than what I told you in the ingredient list, because it's going to make a big batch. You might even make 2 cookie sheets or so. And I'm going to start by just using some of the raisins because I want to see how many I want to add. So really I just added everything into my bowl. And I'm going to stir to mix it so it just gets some, so that everything's mixed up evenly. When you do this, you can really get an idea of what it's going to look like. And if you decide to add more of one ingredient than another, or keep it very simple and just use a couple ingredients in your granola bars. If you have someone with a nut allergy, you don't even have to have nuts. You can make it all with oat flakes, quinoa flakes, various flakes, and seeds, and coconut. So that can be what you make it out of, no problem. Okay. So that is, just put a few more, I didn't quite add all of that. So the brown rice syrup, I scooped a bit here into this half cup mixture. I'm gonna need more. It is really sticky, so sticky. It's not that sweet. I forgot cinnamon. I'm gonna add a bit of cinnamon, a bit of vanilla, and maybe a little bit of maple syrup for sweetness, because this brown rice syrup really is not sweet. So you add the brown rice syrup. Like I said, this is half a cup. I'm gonna need more. The thing about this is I could give you exact measurements for how much I added, but when you get there, depending on the texture of your nuts and seeds and everything, you may need more brown rice syrup, so you may need less. So start with a bit less, mix it all in together, get a good visual on how much you're actually gonna need, because you want it to stick together, but of course you don't want it soaking wet, like soaking full of brown rice syrup, right? You want, you're going to be able to press it into a cookie sheet. So I'll probably need about a cup, and that was a half cup. So what I would do, I put in a half cup. Then I'm going to mix it really good. And then what I would do is add about a tablespoon of brown rice sugar, 1 or 2 each time. Stir it, see what else I need. If you add too much at once, then you got to go ahead and add more nuts and seeds or whatever, which is fine if you have enough at home to add. But your batch can get pretty big too if you keep trying to balance this. So always start with less. When you need to add a little bit at a time, and that'll give you a much better, it'll just be much better, much easier. So now I'm gonna just go get my cinnamon, vanilla, and a bit of maple syrup to add in there. Okay, sorry about that. Yes, I should have added this to the dry ingredients. So I have some vanilla. Now this is powdered vanilla. You can buy it at health food stores. It's so great to use with raw foods and especially granola bars. It doesn't add wetness, it just adds tons of good flavor, and seriously, it lasts forever. So there's that. Beautiful smell too. And then this is my cinnamon. If you don't like cinnamon, you don't have to add it. And then, like I said, if you want to add a little bit of sweetness, add a bit of maple syrup. Be very careful. Don't add too much, or agave, or don't add any at all. Really up to you. Like I said, brown rice syrup appears like honey. You would think it'd be super sweet, but it's not, and that's one thing I really like about it, just because it's not sweet. You know, it's sweet, but it's not like you would expect it to be because of the syrup. It's like, it acts just like corn syrup, which we do not want to use, genetically modified corn syrup. So that's why brown rice syrup is so great, and this is organic. And then, like I said, it doesn't add the extreme sweetness, which I don't like to use. So I know I need more, so I'm just using this is a heavy tablespoon, that's why I'm using it. It's thick and it's solid. So I'm just adding, you know, a big scoop of this at a time. Stirring it around, seeing how it starts to hold together. Have places to put those things, because you don't want to put that sticky thing on your counter. It's crazy sticky. Okay, so you can also get in there with your hands, and that is actually the best way to do it. I'll probably do that once I turn off the camera. But I tell you that get in there with your hands and you can really get a feel for what it's like. So this is what the mixture looks like. So it's starting to really clump together. Now I've made these before when I didn't have enough syrup, and then when you took them out of the pan, they broke apart, which is fine. It's kind of more like granola. So there basically you have a really good granola. So it just takes time. It takes a bit of playing. Also the thickness. You want a thickness only of that's about an inch, or not even quite. Why? Because these are very crunchy, especially if you have some whole nuts in there. It can pretty much break a tooth if you have it too thick. So you want it thinner, and you want it really, really pack it in there so that it does hold together. If it's not packed tight enough on the cookie sheet too, then it can, it'll just break apart too, right, when you do it. So what you're going to do is you're going to stir this really well. Then we're going to pack it into the cookie sheet really good. Then you're going to take a knife and you're going to cut it into squares. Now it's going to be really messy and slippery when you do this, so try the best you can. Or you can put it in the oven and bake it for a little bit and then do it. But what you got to remember is this stuff, when it bakes, it'll actually get soft. It doesn't get hard and crunchy until you take it out of the oven and it cools. So I've got the oven on 350, and you're going to try to cook it for, you know, maybe a half an hour or longer. And then you take it out of the oven, and if it appears soft. So you're going to think it's not done, but basically it's just soft. It also cooks more on the outside layers. So on the outside, you might need to cut those pieces, take them off on the outside of the cookie sheet, because they will be cooked. Then the inside, the pieces on the inside of the cookie sheet, the middle, are not going to be cooked enough yet. So you're going to need to put those back in the oven. So it is a bit time consuming. That's why I guess I make big batches at a time. These also freeze really well. So you can freeze them, which is bonus, because that really helps, and they do not get soft. That's the nice thing about them. But if you keep them in a damp area, when they're sitting on the counter, they will get soft. Keep them in the fridge, or keep them in a paper bag. I suggest freezing some and keeping a bit out for you to eat. I wouldn't suggest keeping them all out on the counter, especially in a humid environment. I have knives here holding down my parchment paper because it's really curly. Okay, so this is a glass of water for sticking the spatula in. Now I'm just going to show you a bit here because it would take far too long. You'd get bored of watching it if I was to spread all of this. So I'm probably going to add a little bit more. I'm just going to show you how to spread, and then I'm probably going to throw it back in and add a little more rice syrup, because I see that it's still possibly a little, not quite enough rice syrup. So that I bet it would be about a cup of rice syrup for the amount of nuts and seeds that I used, if you're following the recipe. Okay, so as you can see, kind of hard to see, but